Right guys, welcome back to the championship rounds, and it's an exciting week in the UFC. We have UFC 279 taking place in Las Vegas, and the main event is Khamzat Chimaev versus Nathan Diaz. And this is a real exciting fight for the public because we don't get to see Nate Diaz as much as we obviously want to. Khamzat Chimaev is a rising star in the UFC. And there's loads of different thoughts on this fight happening, but it's still one that people are going to watch in the end because everyone loves a Nate Diaz fight and people want to see what Khamzat Chimaev is made of. Can he back up the talk that he's talked so far? So going into this fight, it's a strange one because this is kind of a situation that's happened because Nate wants to leave the UFC. He's got one fight left on his contract and he's asked to leave the UFC. He's done a recent interview on ESPN. He said, this is the list of names I gave to the UFC, and it had Tony Ferguson, Vicente Luque, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, and then obviously kind of taking the piss ones like Francis Ngannou and Izzy as well. But it looks like Nate's been asking for fights, but the UFC don't want him to go out on a high, because if you don't re-sign with the UFC and carry on, then sucks to be you, man. It sucks to be you. That was basically what the UFC have basically said to him, and they're making him fight an absolute killer, a guy that a lot of people are thinking is going to potentially be the next welterweight champ, and if not as well, the middleweight champ. So it's a terrible matchup stylistically for Nate Diaz. I think we've all kind of got to the bottom of that. I think Nate knows that as well. You've put him in there with a guy who's going to literally look to wrestle him, who is stronger than him, carries more power in his punches than him. Like, it's not very favorable for Nate.
It's not necessarily the fight I wanted. Does that make it any more challenging to prepare for than any other fight in your career, knowing it's not one you necessarily wanted?
Yeah, for sure. So I give up on preparing. I'm just like, whatever. Beat me.
Going into the fight though, you can't write off Nate Diaz. Like, if you look at what he done in the last minute of the Leon Edwards fight, what he done against Conor, when obviously no one was expecting him to beat Conor in that first fight, and throughout his career he's obviously surprised a lot of people. He's always fought elite competition, especially towards the end of his career, and I think that gets blurred a little bit because of obviously his record, but then you need to dive past the record and actually look at the names that he has fought. They've either been world champions at some point or they've gone on to fight for the belt. So I think a lot of respect needs to be put on Nate for the fights that he's took, especially in the latter end of his career. And he's done it again. He stepped up, and this time he said in his interview, I know that it's not about fighting this guy, they're trying to make a name for this guy. And I think he's right in that, and he's very intelligent to say that, because what they're trying to do is propel Khamzat to another level of stardom. He's very, very popular. If you look at his followers on social media, like, he's got more followers than 95% of the roster. But fighting Nate Diaz, who is a massive, massive name worldwide, is only going to make him bigger. If you look at the people that Nate's fought in the past, Jorge Masvidal, even Leon Edwards after that fight was considerably more known to especially the casuals out there. So it's a different audience that they're tapping into, and obviously they want to not let Nate go out to the free agent market on a high. Basically, they're going to be like, the best place for you to earn money is in the UFC, and if you don't think that, we're going to smash you before you go so that you're not paid as much when you leave the UFC. Simple as that. It is what it is. Let's not sugarcoat it. That's it. So in terms of how Khamzat wins this fight, there's so many avenues, man. Like, it's mental. I think though Khamzat needs to get a finish to really prove that he is the real deal. He needs to go out there and finish Nate Diaz, which is no easy task. Obviously there was a head kick by Josh Thompson years ago, but even then Nate wasn't like completely out of it, and since then no one's really been close. We've had doctor stoppages, but no one's really put the lights out on Nate Diaz. He took unrelentless shots from Leon Edwards. Jorge Masvidal hit him with some painful shots, which you can tell were hurting Nate, but the guy has got the dog in him. Like, you know, with Nate, he's not going down, and I don't really know how Khamzat puts him out. I know Khamzat's got power. Obviously, absolutely KO Gerald Meerschaert, but it's a different task asking someone to knock out Nate Diaz. And the way I can see him finishing Nate is obviously with the wrestling on the ground and just an absolute volume of punches. They love the Dagestani handcuff, grab one hand, bang, 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 and wherever it lands on the head. And I think it might get to a point where the ref is like, I've seen enough now, like, don't want this carrying on. There's obviously the doctor stoppage route, but Nate's going to be bleeding within probably the first minute. As soon as a gust of wind passes through that arena, he's going to probably open up in that fight. So I think for Khamzat, yeah, he basically needs to somehow go in there and just assert his dominance and make people think, Jesus Christ, he's absolutely ragdolled Nate, or whoa, he's actually finished Nate Diaz. This guy is scary. Like, I think with the Burns fight, it showed people that he was a little bit human. But yeah, he needs to put a real statement out there with this fight, and I think that's what the UFC are looking for. In terms of what Nate can do, oh, it's limited, man. It's limited. It's not looking good, bruv.
Big man thing, yeah? It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
But you can never write off Nate. Cardio, mental. If Khamzat starts to falter in the later rounds, boom, you know Nate's still going to be there. He's still going to... His cardio isn't going to let him down in the later rounds. The jiu-jitsu, I don't think that his jiu-jitsu has been that effective in recent years, to be honest. I think his jiu-jitsu has more been there as like a protection mechanism. If he gets knocked down, he knows I can rely on the jiu-jitsu, maybe get the fight back up to the feet. I don't know. I can't see him getting a submission, but if there was a chance, maybe he's been working on it to try and get some kind of sneaky submission. But if I was him, I wouldn't want to lie on the ground under Khamzat for too long. The best thing would be if he can use his cardio and keep getting back up to his feet and force Khamzat to keep taking him down over and over again. That would be energy zapping for Khamzat. I think that's a better idea than rather freaking trying to throw up submissions, and especially in the early rounds. Maybe in the later rounds he can try and catch something on the way down, especially if Khamzat throws like a sloppy takedown, or like kind of like what happened to Conor. He got tired and went for the takedown. He's a wrestler. He's going to resort to that. If he starts getting caught with punches, or if he's tired, I would bet my house on it, him being a wrestler, he will shoot for a takedown because it's ingrained in him. So that's another way that Nate could potentially win this fight. I think it's an interesting fight nonetheless. I think everyone's going to watch just to see if Nate can shock the world once again. I don't know, man. I really like both fighters, but I can't... For Nate Diaz to win would be freaking mental, and just to see the look on Dana's face afterwards. Well, we wouldn't get to see it. He'd probably storm off like the Francis interview, Francis fight against Cyril Gane, sorry. But yeah, it'd be absolutely incredible. We can all dream. The likelihood is Khamzat is going to go in there and maul him and smash him. But it is what it is, man. I think even with this fight, Nate's stock doesn't go down. The guy's game to fight anyone, so... Just one little last thing I wanted to touch on as well, which is a potential future fight. Obviously, Khamzat shouldn't be looking past Nate whatsoever, but we had a kind of little bust. Well, it didn't really get to punches or anything, but it was kind of a little tiff in the UFC PI between Paulo Costa and Khamzat. And I think a lot of people are really siding with Costa on this one. I think he kind of got the better of Khamzat because he was training with Jake Shields, and Khamzat basically called him over and said, "Oh, what did you say about me?" And he was just like stood there relaxed, like, "I want to fight you. Do you want to fight me?" And then Khamzat was like, "No, what did you say about me?" And I think he was basically referring to Paulo Costa, calling him like a gourmet Chechen. Is he trying to say gourmet chicken? Because maybe I don't get it. I don't know. But yeah, he's calling him a gourmet Chechen. And what else did he say? He basically said that Nate Diaz is a real gangster. Khamzat's not a real gangster. So Khamzat was trying to assert his dominance. Didn't quite work out because he had all his team there and they were just holding him back. But the guy is obviously cutting weight, like, and the last thing you'd want to do is go in there and start scrapping against a Paulo Costa who's probably weighing about 240 now, like walking around. So that's a potential fight though, because Khamzat's coach has said that after he fights for that welterweight title, he wants to move up. So if he does move up, Paulo Costa has just come off an impressive win over Luke Rockhold. That's a potential fight there that could set up a title fight against Izzy or Pereira, whoever's there at the top at the time. So yeah, I thought I'd just update you guys on that as well. If you hadn't seen that, you must be living under the rock if you haven't, but it's hilarious. Definitely go check it out. Funny video from Paulo Costa. But yeah, looking forward to this fight on the weekend. Very, very exciting. If you're not already, I would recommend getting up as well for the Tony Ferguson versus Li Jingliang fight just before. I've already done a breakdown of that on. If you guys want to check that out, I will link it at the bottom of the video. Other than that, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the little notification bell so you know exactly when I upload. I'm aiming to get about 4 or 5 videos out a week, so we try and stay up to date with all the news in the combat sports world. That's it from me, guys. Peace.